Welcome. So I'll do a quick demo. If you guys don't know GitButler, GitButler is a new version control tool we've been working on for a couple of years. We've stolen a lot of shit from JJ. So if you guys use Jiu-Jitsu, we've taken a lot of stuff from you. Anyways, if you guys haven't used GitButler, it is a version control tool. It's a GUI generally, but we're working on a CLI, and I wanted to show off some of the CLI stuff since you guys all work on Git, and Git has an interesting CLI. And we have some concepts that we stole from Jiu-Jitsu as well, but there's some new stuff that I think are pretty cool. So I wanted to show it to you so I can get some ideas kind of for what would be super cool. So yeah, I'll go over these things. So there's a couple of different things. So the command line tool is called but. Since I've been telling dad jokes, I feel like this is somewhat appropriate. You can run but status. This is sort of like a short log. So if you guys have used Sapling or Jiu-Jitsu and do the log, we'll show the files that are modified on disk from your working directory from sort of the target branch, but we'll also show sort of the commits that you have, right? So you can also say but status -f, and it will show you sort of the files that were modified in each of the commits. If you're running the GitButler GUI, you can kind of see your lanes and stuff like that. But there's a lot of cool things about GitButler that Git can't do. So we can do, for example, this nice short log type thing. And you know, we can do sort of a log generally that says like, are these commits local or are they? So this is similar to sort of a short log in whatever. And we can create new branches. So if I say sort of status, right, I can see that, so I'm doing a Twitter clone here, so I have a couple of branches. One is sort of stacked on top of the other, which is the thing that Git kind of can do if you have like update ref set, right, that will sort of rewrite your refs when you're doing rebasing or something like that. But we do a little more naturally, right? So we automatically sort of update your refs and you can change stuff and whatever, and the rebase will track that. But we can also do parallel branches. So we can have more than one branch applied at a time. And so what I will do here, is create a new branch and then run it again. And I have sort of this new branch that is parallel to the other branches that I'm doing, right? And what I can do is I can go into that branch and I can start sort of assigning stuff and committing stuff. So we'll see that next. The other kind of cool thing that we can do is we have multiple staging areas. So each of the stacks that you have has its own staging area. So you can say rub is the command. You can say rub like ku for this file here, right? And you can say put it into ZA, and it sort of assigns it to that particular staging area. If I wanted to assign something to this, it gives you these sort of short codes, right? And so you can say, okay, this one's assigned here, and this one's assigned here. And if I commit them, then I can commit them into sort of either of these branches at the same time. So let's take a look at this. We can see this is committed here, or this is assigned here. So I can say but commit -o. And it commits it here, right? So now this file is in this commit. And the nice thing too is that this is all Git, right? So I can also say this, right? It actually creates a Git commit. I can push that branch and whatnot. But yeah, so I can assign to branches, or I can just say but commit, and it will do everything that's unassigned and whatever the target is. So I can say which branch I want to sort of commit new stuff to. And so we came up with this term called rubbing. I've told a bunch of people about Caleb, who's been drinking all night and is not here now. If he comes in, we should all stand up and give him a round of applause. But he came up with this term called rubbing, which is essentially taking two things and putting them together and figuring out from what they are. So if you've done Minecraft or whatever and have sort of a crafting table, you know the concept of this, where you take this and put it together and it creates something new and kind of more interesting, right? And so there's a whole bunch of things that you can do with the but CLI to rub stuff together with but rub. So I'll show a couple of the different things we can do. We can assign stuff, which I showed, right? You can assign an uncommitted or a modified file into a branch. But you can also sort of unassign stuff. So there's this sort of special mode here, 0, where I can say butrub, this whole commit, for example, to 0, and it uncommits that, right? So it essentially does sort of a reset to like soft from that commit. I can also amend stuff. So I can say rub LE RY, RV, boy, I need my reading glasses now. I'm pretty old. To SW, which is, or sorry, actually to 1W. Let's do that. 1W. Is it IW? Thank you. Oopsie. Is that an I? Sorry. And it commits it into that. I can do rub. I can uncommit stuff, right? I can squash stuff. So if I want to do this commit and this commit, I can do butrub JEGE, and it squashes those commits together. I can uncommit, move stuff around, like essentially whatever you think it would do. If you combine two things, right, it will do that thing. And if you combine something to the unassigned changes, it will essentially undo it, right? And so you can even actually, I can't remember if this actually works or not. So you can also move files around, right? So J8 to
N3, yeah.
and it essentially takes the file from that commit and then undoes it from that commit and then moves it into the commit underneath it, right? And so what's interesting about that is not that it's undoable in Git, but that it's relatively difficult to do in Git, right? Like to undo individual commits somewhere, or to move files between commits, or to amend sort of a file into a commit 3 commits down, right? Like you can do it in Git. Like you can do sort of a temporary, fix-up commit and auto squash or something like that. But it's quite nice to just be able to kind of rub stuff around and kind of move the content where you want it to be, and to have multiple branches simultaneously. So the other thing you can do with this is you can split commits relatively easily. So we also have this but new command. So if I wanted to say but new HE, then it will create a new blank sort of commit there that has nothing in it, right? So this is sort of jujitsu style, where you can create a new commit that has nothing in it, and then I can sort of rub files into it if I wanted to. So I could say, take this file. K0 IT. And it moves this file into this new one, and then I can say describe. What was that? XU? Oopsie.
You mistyped, but
How could I?
What is SDF?
Status-F, status files. So it shows the files that are in each commit rather than, so but-st, but-status just shows you the commits, and but-status-f shows you the files within each one, so you can kind of move them around with the rubbing. So there's new and describe. And then the last thing is marking. So this is very JJ style as well. If anybody uses Jiu-Jitsu, you can mark a commit, which marks it as a target. So everything that it sees, it will put into that commit. And so you can mark, it's actually kind of an interesting thing, right? So I can say but new -m, or I can say but mark ZA. And it will mark this, and you can see that it already took the thing that was uncommitted and put it into that lane. And then I can commit stuff, or I can also mark like a specific commit.
That's a dash.
Oh, that is a branch. I'm sorry. And so it marks a specific commit, and then if I like echo new, then it takes that and it automatically commits it to that commit, right? So this is interesting because it's a stacked branch and it has several commits, and anything that I'm doing now, it's automatically like amending a commit 3 commits down into a stacked branch, right? And so it's sort of like the way that JJ does something where you do like JJ new and you start working and it's just automatically sort of amending the last commit you do, except you can mark essentially any commit and keep working, and it'll try to keep working on that commit, and then you can unmark it whenever you want to, right? Anyways, so yeah, this is some of the fun stuff that we're working on. I find it really nice to sort of be able to work on this. The other thing that we do, also kind of stolen from JJ, is an op log. So this is something that we've had for a long time. So if you've used the GitButler thing, there's a tab that says here's all the operations that we do. But every time that I'm running something, it does sort of an operations history, and I can see everything that GitButler has done, and I can restore to any of these, or I can say like undo. Oops, if I spell it right. I can say undo, and it undoes the operation and puts my working directory back and my status back to wherever it was before. Or I can say restore to sort of any of these SHAs. Oopsie. And it resets my working directory and my branches and everything that I had back to what it was before. So this is actually, it's kind of interesting to do a demo this way because I can create a scenario that I know works, right? And then be able to restore back to it and start sort of the scenario back over again. But obviously it's very nice to be able to say, you know what, actually I didn't really want to do that, or I got into a conflict area or whatever, so just undo that and let me keep working. So yeah, that's it. Oh, and the other thing is that all of the commands have JSON output, so you can say but-j or --JSON and run any of the commands, and it'll give you the same data, but it'll give you in JSON. So if you want to script something, it's much nicer than having like a porcelain output of Git or something. Like you can just pull that in, or you can run it through JQ and find like a specific entry or something like that, and be able to sort of script the CLI a little bit nicer. So that's it. Thank you very much.